We're live. Alright, I'm going to be doing a tier list today. I'll be doing a tier list of like every C2 item, every map, every infected character, and every role. So I'll be doing a lot of tier lists today. Just basically a tier list of everything in Deceit 2. That's the plan for today. Yeah. My last video didn't perform super well, so I don't know if I'll keep doing these stream type content. I mean, it did perform well. It just grabbed a different audience than the C2 community. The video was like shared to more people, which I guess is good. Alright, let me switch scenes. Oh, I should probably move my... That's fine, I can do this. Can I full screen it? Hold on. Nope. Full screen. Let me just search up full screen in Photoshop. I should full screen this so my webcam isn't in the way. There we go. Alright, that's good. Alright, so as you can see right here, we have the tier list. It goes from S to F. S being like the best out of the best. It's absolutely needed. It's the greatest. A being really good. B being good. C being mediocre. It works. It's alright. D being slightly bad. E being F. E being bad. And F being absolutely terrible. Horrible. Alright, so the first thing we're going to be ranking is the roles in Deceit 2. We got the Medium, we got the Purifier, Inquisitor, Warden, Phantom, Mimic, Soulbound, Chemist, Infected, and Seer. This is just overall Infected. So I'll start off with the Infected. Right now, it kind of sucks to be the Infected because it's super easy to catch the Infected. I made a video about the easiest way to win Deceit 2 as human. And like the only way to counter it is to have a bot lobby, which is most of the C2 community. They're really bad. So have a bot lobby or alter rush. That's a good strategy. But all the other strategies as infected don't really work unless you have a bot lobby. So I'm going to put this. I'll put infected at E right now because the C2 is so innocent sided. Alright, next we got the Purifier. I gotta say, the Purifier isn't the greatest. I hate to be very negative, but it's not the most helpful because it doesn't slow down the speed at which the in-between starts. If it would slow down and like remove time from how fast the in-between starts, it would be a lot better. But right now, it just stops the in-between from being too long. And it also allows the infected to hit the altar again, so the in-between comes faster. So if an infected is like altar rushing and you're purifying all the altars, it's actually going to hurt you probably because that just fits the altar rushing playstyle more. So I'll put it at D. Alright, next we got the Medium. Like, it's not that good. I'll put it at F. You can see if someone lied about their who's infected, but you probably shouldn't vote out somebody if you don't know they're infected for sure. So just not good. Inquisitor, I'm gonna put this one at C. You can see altars from across the map, which is good to like catch the infected, but that's about it. If you're like in a big group and you use your ability and you see, oh, there's altar across the map, you can figure out the infected, but it doesn't work all the time, and it's not the most useful. But it is useful for like trying to catch the infected, and that is why it's in C tier. All right, the Warden. I'm going to say I have to put this in A, just because the C2's community has a lot of trolls, and having the watermark ability where you can just vote out someone real quick, you don't have to worry about trying to get everybody to vote them, and you can figure out the other infected or the other cursed right after that. It just speeds up the process so you can win games faster and just to win games in general. All right, the Seer. So the seer, it's kind of useless because you can just follow people in the in between. If you have good settings, you can see the shadow players in the in between. But how the seer is useful is you can see multiple players in the in between. So let's say everybody's in a big group, you can like guard that group to see who will transform. Or let's say you already cleared somebody, like you're following someone and two monsters have transformed, you can leave that person and go find another person to use your seer ability on to clear them. So because of that you can clear multiple people at night, it has to be B tier. Let me enlarge the mimic. Enlarge this and the phantom. All right. So next, the mimic. The mimic. It was one of the first roles in the game, one of the first cursed roles, and I gotta say it's pretty good. Having to switch to a new role makes the game a lot more interesting for the infected and the human. The human can use this role to like catch the infected at the very start. If you know what special roles are in the game, which the mimic can figure out, that can speed up the process of the game a lot. So I have to say, for the Mimic, it has to go A tier. Actually, it might even go S. Should I go S? Yeah, because the Phantom Soulbound, yeah, it's definitely S. Best role in the game. It can work for Infected or it can work for switching to Human. It's really a good role to pick. All right, next we got the Chemist. This was the second cursed role that was released. The Chemist, it's really hard to use, but with like recent updates where you're allowed to poison multiple people and the rate at which poisoning happens, it becomes really useful. If you have a bot lobby, this is really good. Or if you have a lobby where the players don't get heat goggles, they don't get adrenaline sticks, and they rather get cameras and flares and stuff like that, it can be very useful to get wins. So I would say for the chemist, it goes in B tier right here. All right. Next, we got the soulbound. The soulbound is a very tricky role because if you soulbound people too early and the effect is not good enough, you're basically screwed. You can use your soul strike ability, but that would give away you and your opponent's role being soulbounded together. So unless you're being like really risky, where you soul strike somebody, or you blend in with other players, it's really not the greatest role, but it's still very useful, and you can get wins with it. So I'll put it above the Purifier. It's not really an NPC role. All right, the Phantom. The Phantom's actually really good with all these trolls lobbies because people will just vote you out right away. And using that is very useful. And there's a lot of strategies they can use with the Phantom. Like you can give someone a walkie-talkie, that would be helpful. So for the Phantom, I'm gonna put it A tier. Right here. And that's the tier list for all the roles. We got the Phantom at S and the medium at F right here. All right. Next up, we have general items. These are just items that you can pick up and how good they are in the game right now. Oh, I just splashed my eye. All right, starting off with the gun, S tier. Of course, you got to down people to play the game. You have to vote people out. Just very useful. It's a big part of the game, so it has to go S tier. Heat goggles. Heat goggles are very useful for human role, but infected is not so useful unless you're in like the final 1v1 or 1v2, or you're in the final 3. It's useful that way. But since it's not that useful for the infected, I would have to put it at B tier right here. All right. Next, we got the camera. The camera is very useful for getting the monsters away from you. And I would say it has to be the best light item because you have 5 charges, and that's different from like the flare, which is only 1, and the traps, which is 3. But the torch, you can get like 10 tries out of it. You can flash the tear 10 times out of it, or even more if you're good enough. But the bloom on it is not very good. And if the effect is good enough, they can like outplay you and not get flashed by the flashlight. But so for the camera, I'll put the camera at A tier. And since we're talking about the flashlight, I'll put it right here in C tier. It's mediocre. All right, next we got the motion sensor. E tier, right? If someone hits the altar and they don't see it, like you hide it well, that can catch infected potentially. But yeah, with the current meta of everybody altar rushing or everybody trolling, it's just not the greatest. All right, next we got the traps. We talked about this earlier, how it's really good, but you only get 3 tries. There's only 3 traps that you get. But what's special about the traps is you can throw them down at the very last second. So let's say a vampire comes at you, they grab you. A millisecond before, you can throw it down and it'll vanish the vampire. The camera, you can't do that with. The camera, you have to wait a couple of seconds for it to flash. Not a couple of seconds, but you have to wait a second for it to flash. The traps are very instant. So for that reason, I have to go A tier for the traps. Ball and chain, F. Why is it in the game? You know, this would be good if like you can use the ball and chain like across the map. Like you have a little tablet and it chains players. But since you have to go up to them and they know you ball and chain them, it's just like a negative item. If you use a ball and chain, you're just sussing yourself and it's not that useful. There's only like very few situations where you need to use the ball and chain. So it'll be an F. All right, the smoke grenade. Same thing. There's like no situations where you need to use it. If you're like about to get caught, you could throw the smoke grenade and run, but people will see that you throw the smoke grenade, and if they're good enough, they'll shoot you. So instead of buying the smoke grenade for certain situations, you could rather just run away in those situations because that's better. So yeah, this is F tier, but it's better than ball and chain, so I'll put it right here. The gas grenade is a bit different because it holds off certain regions. So like say you're in a corner and you're 1v1, you can use the gas grenade to hold off a player, which that is pretty useful. But people can still push through the gas grenade. So that's why I'm putting it at E tier. All right, the flare. Most people like the flare because it's pretty simple to use. You just throw it down and you won't get attacked. But it's better just to get more skilled and use the camera or the traps. And there is a situation like when you grab the escape key, you could use it there. But if you have a full camera, that's probably better than using a flare. But it's not like the worst. So I'll put it at the top of E. Right here. I think E is a good tier for that. All right, the Sanity Serum is a must-buy item. It is very useful. If you don't buy the Sanity Serum, you're basically throwing. They did nerf it, so you get less sanity from it, but it's still super good, and it can help you in clutch situations. It can help you in clutch situations. Like if your sanity is about to be drained, you can hold the Sanity Serum out, and if a monster tries to grab you, you can inject yourself so you have enough sanity to survive the grab so you don't die. This item has to be S tier. It saves you in so many situations. Right here. All right, Adrenaline Stick. This is very helpful for like grabbing the escape key, altar rushing, or trying to catch the infected. This item gives you a huge advantage. So it has to go A. A tier for that. The tablet. It's not that good. Ever since they removed the viewable cameras in Millhaven Asylum, it became even a worse item. It used to be like E tier, but now since you can't camp in Millhaven Asylum, there's no point in using it. Because the only point to use this is to camp with and to watch multiple cameras in Millhaven. You could use this to like find out where the infected is, but it's very unlikely that you like scroll through them. So you have to stay on one channel, and it's just not the greatest. There are some altars you can watch with the cameras, but it's still not a great item. Maybe if you had like multiple cameras you can look at, it would be better. So for the CCTV camera, I'm putting it at F. Headphones, same reason as ball and chain, but it's worse because it does basically nothing. Has to go F. Now the muzzle is a bit different from the ball and chain and the headphones because it will stop players from talking, but there's a huge side effect where the player will get mad at you for using it. I've explained like a couple good ways to use the muzzle, like disguising yourself as a player to frame someone, or you just have somebody's like throwing the game so you muzzle them to stop them. So because of that, I would say it's probably very low E tier, below the gas grenade. You know what? Let's move the gas grenade up too. Probably right here. The flare's not as. The flare's way better than the gas grenade. Alright. Next, we got the teleport pad. The teleport pad is really useful, and ever since it got buffed, where you can't destroy the teleport pad, it's even better than it was. This is useful if you're like the chemist and you need a second way out, or if you're infected and you don't want to use turbulence, so you use the teleport pad instead. This item is very useful. I would say has to go B tier. Very useful. It's just not as versatile as using a camera or adrenaline stick. Alright, bandages. Bandages are very useful if there's chemist, but even without a chemist, you can still use them to win more 1v1s and help you in fights. But I would say it's not as good as the teleport pads. B tier, low B tier. Plus, you shouldn't automatically buy the bandages unless there's a chemist and everybody's already poisoned. So you go to the shop. Alright, the mask. The mask is very useful as infected, but as human, it's not that useful. You can try to use it to figure out who the infected's partner is, or you can use it to like hide yourself as the guardian. There's a bunch of plays at the in between you can use the mask for, but during the daytime as human, there's not a lot of plays you can use. So it's really good for infected, really bad for humans. So I have to put it C tier. Decoy. Like, it's okay. You can try to juke people in the in between. It's not that good. You can use it in the in between to get the infected to go after it on accident, but people usually don't go after it. They might like see it like a decoy grenade in a video game like Valorant, like Euro's ult. They might shoot it instantly, but after that they'll just be like, "Oh, that's a decoy," or they might grab it and be like, "Oh, that's a decoy," and next go after you. They're not gonna fully chase after it because you can probably tell if it's a decoy after a while. So because of that reason, it's going behind the smoke grenades. We got nothing in D tier. All right, handcuffs. They are very useful for catching infected. If you run out of pistol ammo, which happens a lot with a lot of troll lobbies, or you have a troll player like the Phantom would be trolling, you can use this to stop them. And especially in like a 1v1 situation where you're in the final three, you can use the handcuffs to clutch up. So because of that reason, it's going behind the bandages right here. All right, walkie-talkie. The walkie-talkie used to be not the greatest item, But ever since it got super easy to catch the infected, this item has gotten exponentially better for the humans. While for the infected, it's probably the worst item that you can get because you're just sussing yourself out. So for the humans, it's like A tier, but for infected, it's like B tier. It's like low A tier, high B. So for that reason, it's going in D tier right here. All right, Invis. Invis is useful for infected and humans. You can use it in the in between, in a 1v1, while running away, while hiding. It has so many uses. I'm gonna put it at A tier, above the adrenaline and above the traps, right below the camera. It has so many uses. All right, you got the hammer mending. You usually use this in the in between or during the daytime if you need to fill up cracks, but it's not really the most useful thing. Like if you're chasing someone, you don't want to pull out that hammer to fix a wall barricade, and it's just not the greatest thing to do. It might even help the infected by giving them more room to shoot at you during the daytime, but during the in between, you can use this item to like camp a wall crack. But there's the one side effect of them going through the crack. Like a vampire can teleport beyond it and teleport behind you and grab it, and the monkey can go through the crack before you close it. So it's horrible with the vampire. It's not the greatest with the monkey. For that reason, it's going in D tier. If you have a vampire, it's horrible, but the other experiments, it's a good item. I wouldn't personally get it, but if I got it as my random item, I wouldn't hate it. Bag scanner. Next, we got the bag scanner. F tier. It's useful if someone has a mask. That's it. There's no such thing as, oh, they have sus items because they bought a adrenaline stick and a pistol, so they're infected. You're not gonna figure out they're infected by the bag scanner. It's really only useful if you're chasing after someone and you think they're masked, so you pull it out instead of shooting them, and you scan them. Like there's no use of using this. It could be a lot better if you use it like a tablet where you can just click on a player you want to scan from across the map. So let's say someone's hitting altars, but you think they're masked. So you look at players' inventories with this ability. Or it might even be OP if you can just see players' inventories completely. So it makes the mask a lot worse. Alright, knuckle dusters are pretty good, especially with troll lobbies where you're going to be fighting a lot. Plus, if you're in like a close 1v1 combat, you could try headshotting them. But if they're like Xbox, you can use a knuckle duster instead and just curve around them. So knuckle dusters are pretty good. I'm putting them at B tier. Alright. The tracker used to be really bad, but with the update with the Phantom, it's a bit more useful because you can use it to track someone who you think is the Phantom, or you can use it as the Phantom to track players. So it adds a bit more use to the item, but overall, you don't really need to use this unless you're trying to down somebody who nobody will vote. And in the in between, you can just follow people at night by following their outlines. So I'll put this at E tier. Right here. Alright. Here is the tier list of every item in Deceit 2, just in general, how good it is. Gun at the top and back scanner at the bottom. My mouth is so dry. Alright. Alright, now I'm gonna speed run this with both the innocence. Gun, still S, you need it. Heat goggles are gonna be up more because you need it a lot more as human. So I'll put it S tier for human. Camera, I'll put it S. Motion sensor, E. Traps, A, high A. A torch, high B probably. That would work. Ball and chain, still garbage. Don't know why you get it. Smoke grenade. Still bad. You're not gonna be hitting altars, so you don't need it to block off a region. So it's even worse than using it as infected. Gas grenade, probably even worse. Only need it in 1v1. But I still think it's E, low E. Flare, this is more useful as human. So I'm going to put it B right here. Sanity Serum, S, you need it. 100%. It's going to go above the heat goggles. Right here. Adrenaline stick, still very useful, not as useful as infected using it, but you can use it to grab the escape key and a lot of other stuff. So I'm going to put it high B tier. A tablet, still bad. It's really bad for any role. Anything in F tier is just bad for any role, any situation. It's just better to like use your brain, use your knowledge instead. You don't need those items for certain situations. Just not as good. Headphones. You know where it goes. Right at the bottom. Muzzle. You probably need a lot less. I'll put it E. No F, because there's no reason to use it. It's more of a infected, oh, I got this item, so I might as well use it. Alright, teleport pad. That's more useful for like infected or cursed, but it can still be useful in between as humans. So I'm gonna put a D tier, high D tier. Alright, bandages, still very useful. Can use it in a lot of situations. I think it has to go above the flare. Okay, mask, F tier, but not the lowest in F tier. Right above the tablet. You shouldn't get this item as human. If you get it as a free item, you can use it in between, but you lucked out. Decoy. E? Nah, it's still not useful, even using it in the in between. Put it right here. F tier is gonna be filled out because there's not a lot of good items for the humans. Light items are useful, but that's about it. Just light items. Handcuffs, they're even worse as human, but you can still use them to catch players. C tier. Walkie-talkie, these are very useful for catching players. Can be very helpful for humans. And you can end the game really quick with these. Since like you give a walkie-talkie to one human, and that clears one human, so you only have to figure out one human at night. So you can follow one human, give a walkie-talkie to one human, next clear both of the humans in the game. Or not clear them. Invis is still super useful for humans, so I'll put it C. Nah, B tier, B tier. Because it's above the flare right here. Hammer mending, this is a lot better for humans. I'll put it C. Nope. Probably B. It's above the flare. I might even bump the flare down. I felt like that would be better for the other tier list. For just general characters. It's not as good because you can't really use it as infected. You can try throwing the flare and blinding the enemy team. Bag Skinner, F. I don't even feel like organizing F tier. Just down there. Knuckle Duster's still good. Put a B tier. You don't need as much as infected because you're not 1v5ing if you're alter rushing. It's not gonna be 1v5, so be a tracker. Put an E. Alright. That's the tier list for humans. Normal humans. Should I do infected? I feel like this is gonna be a long stream. I might have to split it into 2 pieces. We're already 30 minutes in. I can probably cut that down to 7 minutes. It'll be a long video. I guess I'll do infected real quick. I'll just make one long video. Alright, for infected, gun S. I don't think I have to explain these because I explained them in the general. I'm just giving you a more clear tier list. E goggle C. E, because like you can clear yourself, makes you more innocent if you have a camera out. F, why would you self-sabotage? F, people don't really care about traps. F, most of these are gonna be F. F. Smoke grenade, I'll put an E. Gas grenade also E, above the smoke grenade. Let me know if you guys want me to explain any of these. I can explain them more. And if you're watching on YouTube, I can explain in the comments. Alright, flare. Boom. Sanity serum. I mean, like if you're trying to blend in, you can like follow people at night, stay in a group with the seer, and use the sanity serum. So like you can run more. No, there's no reason to use this. F tier, F tier. I was trying to think of reasons to use this. There's no reason. Adrenaline stick, A. Might even go S. Like if you're alter rushing, it's very useful. I'll go A. Tablet, nope. Alright. Headphones, F. Don't need that. Muzzles. Muzzles. I would say for infected, it can be useful. So I'll put it C right here. Alright, teleport pad. A tier. Very useful. Can help you in a lot of situations, a lot of clutch situations. Bandages, very useful, especially when you're fighting a lot of players. A tier. Mask, very useful for blending in. Can help you a lot in running around. Decoy, F. Handcuffs, it's a lot better for infected to get handcuffs because it can help them in the finale, or if you got somebody right behind you and you don't want to waste bullets, you can use a handcuff instead. But I would recommend a teleport pad over it. Walkie talkie, probably the worst item you can get. We'll put it below F tier. Invis, really good. A. Below bandages though. This, I can see a reason for using it. So I would say it's high A tier because you can use it to open up cracks so you can shoot players through them. Because using cracks is very useful for fighting players. Back skinner, F. You could try framing someone with the back skinner, but that's like 1 in every million games you'll do that. Knuckle dusters, very useful, especially when you're fighting a lot. A tier. Next tracker, I'll put D tier. Alright. That's for infected. Oh, my face is moving, blocking it. That's for infected. Gun, S, and next headphones and walkie-talkie all the way at the bottom. Put the walkie-talkie down here. It's gone. Don't use it at all. You gotta stash it right away if you get a walkie-talkie. Alright. Alright, next we got maps. It's gonna be a bit shorter and a faster ranking. Um I'll be ranking maps on how even they are for the infected and the humans and how much content there is on it. So starting off with Project Origin. Project Origin's pretty even. It's a bit on the human side with all the areas being connected to each other. They're very close proximity. It's not as big as like Millhaven Asylum, but it's still a pretty good map and it's pretty even. I'll put that at A tier. Right here. It's a pretty good map. Okay. Next we got the Manor. The Manor is so bad. Like I think the confession booth is a bit interesting. It has a bit dynamics, but besides that, how its layout is and how it's formed is very weirdly made. Like the central area of it, where the bathroom is, the room is, the chandelier, that area is so messy. And you just go around in corners, you go around in circles. It's very bad. So I'll put it E tier. It needs a rework, especially how it's laid out in the middle area. All right, Millhaven, S tier. Best map, especially with the new update where you can go in the basement faster, which helps with catching people in the elevator. I think that's the best map change they've made. And I'm trying to think of problems it has. It doesn't have a lot of problems. There is the area by the cameras, the camera room, where it's a bit closed off and it's a bit weird, but that's like a useful area to use. It gives infected a bit more of advantage. It is slightly infected advantaged, but it's still a good map. So if they like make it a bit harder for infected, it would be an excellent map, like above S tier. But yeah, it's the best map that we have, and currently it's the best map we've ever had in Deceit 2. All right, we got the circus. I think the Oracle is very OP, and overall the map is a lot more human advantage because it's very circular. It's very predictable to catch the infected. So for that reason, I'm gonna put it at C tier. It's not as horrible as the Manor. We need a bit of room between that, but we also need a bit of room between Project Origin. It's not as good as Project Origin. So here's the map tier list. This might be a long video. Alright, here's infected characters. I'll be ranking them on how good they are, not how much I like playing them. Alright, first we got the experiment. It's like an alright character. You can catch players pretty fast in between. There's some strategy you can use, and then there's some skills you can use for the werewolf. Like you can break a wall and speed off of it. You can move with it pretty well, but it's not that good. The experiment's not the greatest. For a second I thought that was the werewolf. My brain froze. Alright, but now we have the werewolf. The werewolf's A tier. It's very useful for newcomers. There's just not a lot of strategy you can use with it. You can't really plan ahead. You just run and grab the players, but it's very useful at doing that. Now we got the vampire. I wouldn't recommend the vampire for new players, but if you're able to learn like maps and how it's laid out, where the teleporters are, vampire is very useful in catching players. But it's a really hard skill gap. I still have problems using the vampire. It's one of those experiments where you can consistently grow. I feel like for these other two roles, I've learned a lot about the movement. It's very, let's say, basic, but for the vampire, you can do a lot more with. Alright, the monkey, you can use the teleport. That's pretty cool. And you can strategically place it. The monkey mixed with the vampire, where you like track players and the monkey predicts where they go, is a very OP combo. But I would say it's not as good as the werewolf because it's not that user friendly, And still, even when you master it, it's about the same level as using the werewolf when trying to catch players. It's even harder to catch players as the monkey in some instances. So that's the tier list for the roles. There's not really a lot of bad roles. If they just give the experiment like a bit of a strategy buff, if they allow the monkey to be a bit more stronger, like the werewolf, and if they add more strategy to the werewolf, that'll be good. So for these two, they just need to add more content, I guess. These are a lot basic and not the greatest. And next for the monkey, if they want it to be S tier with the vampire, they would just need to buff it. This is the only one I feel like they need a buff. The other two is just the base idea isn't good enough to be as good as the vampire. Alrighty. And that's about it. But we got one more. So we did the items, we did the roles, we did the maps. But now I'm going to be ranking the best items to get for specific roles. Alright. So I already did this before, but I think for this year, for any role basically, the best thing to get is a gun. The first thing you want to buy. If you get it as your free item, that's great. But if you get it as your second item, that's also helpful. For this year, you want to get a camera because you're going to be running around in the night. You're going to get drained a lot of sanity on you, so you won't have a lot of sanity. So you need camera. Next, you need a sanity serum. And next, you need adrenaline stick. And next, the heat goggles good because as this year, you've probably figured out who. Hold on, I'll just pause this real quick. All right, I'm back. Let me know if there's a lot of background noise. I might just wait to do this section because of background noise. This was a lot shorter than I expected because there's a lot of content. I just sped through this. I sped through the infected and human items. I could have explained it more. But yeah, I was expecting this to be like 2 hours. Looks like it's only going to be an hour long. All right, now for the Inquisitor. You probably want to get heat goggles because you can use the heat goggles with your ability to catch players right when they hit an altar. Um, Also, the infected probably will go after you if they know you're Inquisitor. So it might be good to get a camera, a sanity serum, so you don't die. But it's very unlikely that they will go for you. Most players just kill randomly. They're like werewolf mains or experiments, and they just grab whoever they see. But just in case you might want to get these might be your best options. But it all depends on your playstyle. Playstyle is more important than what role you are. but this is just a good gauge on what items to get. For the warden, you also want to get heat goggles because if you catch the infected, you can find them right away and kill them and watermark them, so they're just out right away. You don't have to worry about one infected or one cursed. Adrenaline stick, that also helps find them. An X camera, this is supposed to be flare. I'll remove it. This was supposed to be flare. An X camera to help you in between, and flare, that's probably if like you already caught one infected and the cursed. You just need to grab the escape keys because the infected's doing nothing and you can't get information. The flare might be useful, but it all depends on the situation at hand. All right, next we got the purifier. You want to get sanity serum and camera because you're going to be low on sanity and you need sanity. The camera will help you in case they attack you. The same with the traps, that'll help you. And the flare will help you escape. So very helpful loadout. This is the one I would most likely recommend to use because there's not a lot of other strategies you should use for purifier. All right, the medium, you can use a walkie-talkie to clear a player that you know is good, and that'll help you a lot in narrowing down who to go after. Since your role is able to clear dead players, this will allow you to clear even more players with the walkie-talkie, allowing you to cut down what players you know are in the game. Sanity serum allows you to stay alive, of course, and heat goggles. For this role, you most likely get more information with the walkie-talkie and your ability, so you can use the heat goggles to catch the final infected. The mimic just depends. You should probably get the gun and invis right away because those are very versatile, very useful. But if you decide to go human, you might want to buy the camera and buy sanity serum so you survive it in between. Or if you decide to team with the infected, probably knuckle dusters and handcuffs. Next adrenaline stick at the very end in case they try catching you. Alright, for the chemist, you probably want to get a camera because that's very useful for staying alive and in between. And if infected knows it's you, you should probably use the camera to not get grabbed and not get eaten. But I would warn to be very careful on how often you use the camera because it's better to save it for the very end. Invis is very useful when you poison all the players. So let's say like you have a troll lobby, you poison them early. You might want to get invis just so you can win the game easier. Teleport pad is the same reason. And handcuffs is in case someone attacks you or runs towards you, or if they're about to grab the escape key and you want to use a handcuff on them, because this is going to be your last item probably, or you might not even use this item because you got a free item right before. Alright, Stillbound, you can use a walkie-talkie. This is an OP strategy. What you want to do is give a walkie-talkie to a random person, probably human, that might be better, but you do this so they can trust you and makes you soulbound another person. So you will have your soulbound partner who trusts you, and not only that, you'll have another person who trusts you on the walkie-talkie. And if they try sussing your soulbound teammate, you can say, oh, I cleared them, I'm like the seer, or make up a lie. So this is very useful for the soulbound. This is OP strategy I don't think anybody's using. I might be the first person talking about this. Alright, next, camera and sanity serum to stay alive. You might want to use these before the walkie-talkie if you're getting targeted. If you're getting attacked, you might want to use this before the walkie-talkie. But these are interchangeable. And next, a handcuff in case they're going to grab the escape key. Alright, for the Phantom, you want to stay alive. You get a camera. Next, you want to give a walkie-talkie. Kind of the same reason as Soulbound, but you don't want to talk in the walkie-talkie. So you want players not to trust you. So you give a walkie-talkie just for someone not to trust you. This might backfire, so I wouldn't recommend to use this all the time. And you gotta be careful on who you're using it on. If you don't see like a very bad player in the lobby, just don't use this strategy and just switch to the tracker or switch to the invis. Those are very useful for getting yourself sussed. You can use the tracker to track players right before you die and to catch them. And next, you can use the mask at the very last minute to like suss yourself out. This is useful if you're like very desperate to like mask yourself as somebody and get downed. They'll be more likely to vote you if they forget about the Phantom. But they might figure it out if you use this if you use a mask. So only use the mask if you're very desperate. So yeah, that's a lot of content. I went through all the best items to use and the best tier list for Deceit 2 from my expertise. This should be the ultimate tier list for y'all. I think that's about it. Alright. FF. Yep. Went over the items, general items. Surprised I did under an hour. I was expecting to do a 2-hour stream. My throat is super sore. I don't know if it's because I don't talk this often or I'm talking too fast. I need to get used to talking like this so it's more entertaining. Probably just talk less, but talk about more important information. So yeah, just the maps tier list. I'm even thinking to put this at F, like low, high F. It's not the greatest. Manor needs a huge rework. I'm surprised that they reworked Millhaven over the Manor, because Millhaven was like A tier, and next thing it became like the best map after their update. But Manor is still a garbage map. It's not that good. Dude, it sucks as infected. And if you're good enough, it might suck as humans. Like new humans playing it, or even experienced infected, it must suck playing Manor. Because it's so confusing for new players. And it's just so small for good players to use. But yeah, that's it. That's all I had planned. Hopefully the audio is good for this stream. Hopefully I talk better and fluently for the video. I'll make this a video and probably upload it this Saturday, Friday. Alright, that's it. See ya.